Well, the Yankees, perhaps getting hot. They have now won 3 games in a row. They have now won 5 games out of 7, and they have moved to 13-9 overall, which doesn't sound like much, but again, you are playing in a weaker American League, so that 13-9, which is a win percentage just under 600, does put them at the top of the American League at the moment, and it puts them at a 96 win pace, which would be their highest in a long time. I actually don't know when. Um, but the Yankees continue to win, thankfully. Boston continues to lose. Toronto, I think, won today, but they continue to be up and down. Tampa Bay lost to Pittsburgh today. Baltimore has not taken off still. And the Yankees, in the midst of all this noise and all this internet drama and all these overreactions, they stand atop the American League East with the only positive run differential in the division at a plus 28, which means they are averaging 1.3 more runs than their opponent per game. That is also the best run differential in the American League. Hashtag 1-run games. God, I hated that stat earlier in the year. I would rather win big and lose small. So the Yankees sweep the Royals at Yankee Stadium to conclude a 2-week stretch where they didn't have a single day off. Yes, in what was a stretch with a lot of ups and downs and frustrations, it ends the way that you wanted it to end. I mentioned at the tail end of our last episode when we talked Yankees Angels that I really need the Yankees to sweep this next team, and they did exactly that. So, with that said, we're going to dive into this series against the Royals. We're going to talk about all of it. Yankees, Royals, Yankee Stadium, 3-game sweep. Let's do that in just a sec when we get back from our first break here on BD4, episode 1041. Stay with us.
Quick break here, guys. Stay connected with BD4 on social media. Follow us on Instagram and X at BD4Pod, and find us on Facebook by searching BD4. Don't miss out. Join the conversation.
Okay, welcome back to the show, episode 1041 of the podcast. I appreciate you all for tuning in, listening to BD4. Maybe you're watching BD4, but thank you for tuning in to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. Now, in this episode, we are discussing Yanks Royals as the Yankees sweep the Royals. And the first game of the series took place on Friday, where the Yankees defeated them 4-2. This was the righty Cam Schlittler going up against the righty Michael Wacha, the veteran who has been in this league for quite a minute now and always seems to pitch well every time he plays the Yankees. But the Yankee bats, 4 runs on 5 hits, 2 home runs, 5 walks, 8 strikeouts, 2 stolen bases, no double plays grounded into, and they were 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position against Mike Wacha. 2 runs in his 6 innings, and those 2 runs came in the bottom of the 4th, where Ben Rice hits a 2-run shot to put the Yanks up 2-zip. Kansas City bullpen goes 2 more innings. The Yanks get 2 more runs on them. That came in the bottom of the 8th. The game was tied at the moment, but it was Ryan McMahon who gets the big moment that he's been waiting for, has had such a struggle this season with the Yankees, really a struggle since becoming a Yankee. Finally gets his moment, and he pushes a 2-run shot to the opposite field to put the Yankees up 4-2 with the game, in balance there. So McMahon gets the big hit, 1 for 1, 2 RBIs as he comes in late. Judge in this game goes 1 for 3 with a double, a walk, and a stolen base. Rice goes 2 for 4 with a home run, 2 RBIs. Jazz goes 0 for 2 with a couple of walks. Caballero goes 0 for 2 with a walk and a stolen base. The Yankee defense in this game made 2 errors. Top of the 6th, they're up 2-zip. Grisham makes the E8. You got runners on, or he makes the E8 to put runners on second and third with 1 out. It's a fly ball to deep center. He goes back to the wall to track it. Kind of lost it. It pops out of his glove. I think the wind took it. I know that it said 99% catch probability, but catch probability doesn't take into account wind. And it looked like the wind took that ball. Was a play he still probably should have made, didn't make it. And then another error in the top of the 7th. The Yanks are up 2-1. Brent Headrick makes an E1 on a pickoff attempt, overthrows it to the outfield. That puts 2 more runners in scoring position with 2 outs. That one doesn't end up harming the Yankees. The pen overall, 3 innings. Headrick pitches the 7th. We'll talk more about his outing in a second. Doval gets the 8th. He was the one who tied up the game. Finishes 1 inning, 1 run, a hit. It was a home run, no walks, a strikeout. Yanks are up 2-1 the 8th. Vinny Pasquantino, game-tying home run. 339 to the porch. One of those shots you just got to forget about. Can't do much about it. It wasn't a terrible pitch, but you probably shouldn't go sinker low and into a lefty. They can hit those pitches. So that happens. David Bednar gets the 9th. 1 inning, no runs, no hits, a walk, 2 strikeouts, gets the save. Still not getting swings and misses with his 4-seam fastball, which remains a theme this year. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm pretty sure it's like cut in half his whiff rate on the 4-seamer. But he's been leaning into his off speed, the split, the curve, which continue to work, and miss bats. Cam Schlittler pitches in this game, and the starting pitching, after a rough turn through the rotation, has gotten off to a red-hot start this series in this next turn, because Cam Schlittler started things off with 6+ innings of 1-run baseball, no earned runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, 3 hits allowed, no home runs, 93 pitches, picks up the no decision. This was a very strong rebound start for Cam, and I say rebound like kind of jokingly because his last 2 starts, 5 innings, 3 runs with more strikeouts than innings pitched. He's still been good, but he continues to dominate the way we've seen him dominate, just taking total control with his 3 fastball shapes, right, and pitch tunneling each one of those fastballs, tunneling the cutter, the 2-seamer, the 4-seamer. He gets Bobby Witt to strike out swinging, 100-mile-an-hour 4-seamer in the zone, sinker on the hands, cutter upstairs. Then he gets the lefty Jansen to strike out swinging. He goes 3 consecutive 99-mile-an-hour 4-seamers up and away. He gets Perez to strike out looking once, goes cutter away to a sinker inside, 4-seamer middle low to freeze him. He gets Perez to strike out swinging later, front door cutter to a cutter middle up to 98 4-seam. Insane stuff. He was attacking a lot of the Royal righties with that cutter in this game. Usually he likes to go to lefties with that cutter. It's more of a hard slider with this movement that it gets. But that was a pitch that worked for righties for him. And he was flashing the off speed more, right? He threw 3 more sliders to the Royal righties. He showed slider to Perez away off the plate, fouled it off. He showed a slider to Garcia below the zone and away, took it for a ball, and then he showed a slider to Bobby Witt in the dirt for a ball. So it was nice that he continues to flash that. You hope he continues to lean into that a little more. And then he threw 10 curveballs to the Royal lefties. Jack Caglione strikes out on one of the overhand curves. He goes 3 straight 4-seamers to the overhand. And then he gets Jensen to strike out 5 straight 4-seamers, overhand curve off the plate. So he's just fun, man. He's really fun. Doesn't even have to have one of his big outings to be fun, but this was one of his big outings. He's the real deal. And what really makes you confident is not just the fact that he's been getting results ever since getting the call up, but the underlying stuff is very optimistic. You go on this kid's Statcast page, and everything it's a sea of red, as I like to say. The expected numbers are there, the expected ERA, it's 90th percentile, the expected batting average 75th percentile. His fastball velocity is 97 to 100. His average exit velocity is 73rd percentile. His chase rate, meaning he gets guys to swing at pitches outside the zone, he sits in the 97th percentile there. Whiff rate is up there. K rate, walk rate. His worst trait on Baseball Savant is his hard hit rate being 43rd percentile. So the worst thing about Cam Schlittler is that he gives up moderate contact. Like, that's crazy. So he just continues to be an absolute sensation who is still a bit overlooked around baseball, but he's become a top pitcher and one of the better aces in the American League. So super excited for this kid's future. And I just can't wait for his start in Boston, which we'll talk a little bit about later on if we do remember. Aaron Boone in this game starts Ahmed Rosario against the right-handed pitcher. Not a reverse splits righty too. So I do think it's worth pointing that out, how he went with feel over matchups like everybody wants. But he goes back to the pen. Not back to the pen, but he goes back to McMahon late, obviously, who hits the big home run. So I had no problem with anything he did there. But yeah, I do want to go back to the pen. I read ahead on my notes there. I was gonna say Chase Headrick again. So used to Chase Headley. Brent Headrick. I'm going to tip my cap to Brent Headrick because I thought he was the best Yankee reliever in this series, and he was the best Yankee reliever in this game. He only made one appearance this series. It was Friday in this game, 7th inning, to relieve Cam Schlittler. Goes 1 inning, no runs, no base runner, 1 strikeout. Keeps Cam's line clean by stranding the traffic. He comes in. He's got runners on first and second. Nobody out. 1-run lead. Gets Jack Caglione to strike out. He goes 3 straight sliders for 3 straight whiffs. He gets Jonathan India to pop up a 96-mile-an-hour four-seamer. Really good catch by Ben Rice in foul territory. Makes that error on the pickoff attempt, but then he gets Starlin Marte to ground out on a 96-mile-an-hour four-seamer. So escapes it, continues to get out righties, which is important as a left-handed pitcher who can get righties out. That's big. It's that splitter that he likes to throw away from righties. That works. And also just, elevating the four-seamer to play off the splitter bottom of the zone. Really nice tunneling there. Batters this season are 2 for 19 with 2 singles on the four-seam fastball. It gets good spin. He gets good extension. It's got life at the top of the zone. It's got a little bit of velocity for a left-handed pitcher. It's a good pitch to play off the split. And then he's got that slider that he can mix in the lefties. Jams the sinker in on the hands to lefties. That's a new pitch he's brought in this year. Leaning less on the four-seam, mixing more of his secondaries. Excuse me. It's late at night. Gotta take a sip of water for a second here. But Brent Headrick's been great. He's been huge for the Yankees, so it's just super important to have that guy as kind of one of the surprises of the season, although it's not too surprising for those who've paid close attention to him. Just with the bullpen being as shaky as it's been, he's been one of the few rocks in the back there. Him and Tim Hill as those 2 lefties who've just been super consistent so far. But he's a different type of pitcher than Tim Hill, right? Tim Hill is more old school matchup guy, ground ball. Brent Headrick is more new school talent that can miss bats. He's 86th percentile in chase rate. He's 87th percentile in whiff rate. He keeps it off the barrel. He limits hard contact. So Brent Headrick, we're going to tip our cap to him, as you can see on the screen if you're watching the podcast for the fourth time this year, who leads the Yankees. And then you get to Saturday, where the Yankees took a 13-4 win. I have 14-4 on the screen, but I'm pretty sure it was 13-4. Regardless, it was the righty Warren against the lefty Noah Cameron. 13 runs on 11 hits, 4 home runs, 7 walks, 6 strikeouts, no double plays grounded into, 1 sac fly. They go 4 for 11 with runners in scoring position. Against Cameron, they get 7 runs in 4 innings. Bottom 3, you had Rosario, Bellinger, and Rice all go yard. It's 5-0. Bottom 4, JC Escarra with an RBI double. Cody Bellinger with an RBI single. It's 7-0. Kansas City bullpen. It was Mitch Spence in this one who pitches 4 innings for the Royals, and the Yankees score 6 on him. Bottom of the 6th, Rosario with an RBI single. Bellinger a 2-run shot. It's 10-0 Yanks. Bottom 7, Escarra a 2-run triple to make it 12-2. And then in the 8th, Grichuk with a sac fly to make it 13-2. So 9 of the 10 Yankees reached base in this game. 6 of the 10 Yankees reached base twice in this game. And 5 Yankees drove in a run. You had Ahmed Rosario going 2 for 5 with a homer, 3 RBIs. Aaron Judge 0 for 2, 2 walks. Bellinger 3 for 4, a couple of homers, a walk, and 5 RBIs. Ben Rice 1 for 3, a home run, 2 walks, and an RBI. Grichuk goes 1 for 4, double, sac fly, and an RBI. Caballero goes 2 for 4. Escarra goes 2 for 4, a double, a triple, and a Little League triple earlier in the game. Gets 3 RBIs. McMahon 0 for 0 with a walk. So that was your offensive production. The bullpen came in 8th and 9th. It was Paul Blackburn. 2 innings, 2 runs, a walk, a strikeout, 2 hits, and no home runs allowed. But on the mound for the Yankees was Will Warren to start the game. 7 innings for Warren, 2 runs, no walks, 11 strikeouts, 5 hits, 1 home run. Will Warren looked really good. This was a dominant start. You know, he has the pitch mix to sequence exceptionally well when he's got his location, right? Because to right-handed batters, he can go 2-seamer in on the hands, sweeper away off the plate, right? Hard stuff in, soft stuff away. To left-handed batters, he can go front hip 2-seam to a changeup blown away. You know, it's the same action in sequence, but it's different speeds, which makes it hard to pick up, especially when they all come out of the same arm angle. And he also works in that 4-seamer very well. It's got late break. It's got a little bit of ride. The velo's been a tick up this year. But he gets Bobby Witt to strike out 4-seamer up and away. He gets Vinny Pasquantino to strike out looking on a 4-seamer low in the zone. He gets Jensen to strike out 4-seamer up and away. Collins, 2-seamer low in the zone a couple of times to him. Garcia, 2-seamer low in the zone. Caglione strikes out looking, sweeper inside to a 4-seamer in the zone. He gets Massey to strike out swinging, 2 changeups low and away to a 4-seamer in the zone. Gets Thomas to strike out looking, 2-seamer top of the zone. He gets Kyle Isabel to strike out, changeup away. He gets Collins for a 3rd time later on, going from a 4-seamer to a changeup. Really good pitching. So both fastballs were working for Will Warren, but I thought the 2-seam fastball looked exceptional. Some really nice ones that he dropped in there. Some front hippers. Also did well going to his off speed. As the game progressed, he went a little more and more to his secondaries, mixed in the sweeper, mixed in the changeup. I love the changeup for him. I think the changeup is a great pitch for lefties. And I know he likes to go to the sweeper, even on lefties. I never loved that because for him, the location's not always great with that pitch. So when you're mislocating a sweeper right on left, that's an easy hanger. That should stay his right on right pitch because it's got excellent break. I think if he wants to have something for lefties that's not going away, maybe at a cutter, something hard going in that can play off the changeup when it's going the changeup away, cutter in like that. Like I think that's a good tunnel combo. Adam Ottavino does a really good job on Yes talking about pitch tunneling. And he was talking about this, maybe not this series, but it was a few series ago when he was on the telecast or on the pregame. But I thought Will Warren pitched exceptionally well. And then you get to Sunday, today, where the Yanks win 7-0 against the Royals. The lefty Ryan Weathers against the lefty Cole Reagans. The Yankee bats 7 runs on 7 hits, 3 home runs, 10 walks, 9 strikeouts, 2 for 7 in scoring position. Against Reagan, 7 runs and 4 1/3. Bottom of the first, Judge 2-run shot. Austin Wells sac fly, 3-0. Judge goes 1 for 5, couple RBIs, 3 strikeouts. Wells goes 0 for 1, couple of walks, a sac fly, and an RBI. Bottom 2, Rice, solo shot, 4-0. He goes 1 for 3, homer, 2 walks, and an RBI. Bottom 5, Grisham, 3-run shot to right field, 7-0. He goes 2 for 4 in the game. Home run, base hit, a walk, 3 RBIs. Bellinger, 1 for 3 with a double and 2 walks. Rosario, 1 for 3 with a walk. Angel Trevi got the 8th and 9th for the Yankees. Inning and 2/3, no runs, a hit batter, a walk, 1 strikeout. Like the velocity that he throws with, even if the fastball is not his best pitch. Changeup is a nice pitch. Starting on the mound for the Yankees was Ryan Weathers, and we are going to tip our cap to Ryan Weathers for the second time this season because I thought Ryan Weathers today was the best pitcher in this series. 7 1/3 innings, no runs, 5 hits, 1 double, 4 singles, 1 walk to 8 strikeouts, no home runs allowed, 95 pitches, and the much-deserved win. To do that after a rain delay that pushes back your start 3-ish hours, that's impressive, and that gets overlooked, but he continues to look very good as a Yankee. The Yankees have gotten so far, and it's a small sample, but they have gotten more swing and miss out of Ryan Weathers. He's getting a lot more strikeouts. I think that's because he's not leaning into his four-seamer as much, which has always been a bad pitch for him. Entering today, he's been using the four-seamer a career low 33% of the time. Last year, it was around 41%. Over the course of his career, he's used it over half the time. But 33% usage on the four-seamer this year is a career low. 22% change, 21% sweep, 19% sink, 6% slide. So he's really doing a nice job equally distributing his off speed, and his secondaries. Going to the four-seamer for righties, two-seamer to both lefties and righties, but it's the off-speed pitches, the change-up away on righties, the bullet slider to righties, mixes in the sweeper to both lefties and righties. And today you saw a very unique approach in Ryan Weathers where he was doubling down on certain pitches. He was going to righties with his changeup a couple of times. He was using the bullet slider more. You're seeing him lean into that bullet slider a little bit more in his last couple of starts after shying away from it in his first couple. But he strikes out the side in the top of the 4th inning after not having a single strikeout up to that point. He goes 1, 2, 3. Bobby Witt strikes out swinging. He goes four-seamer middle of the plate, slider bottom of the zone. Pasquantino strikes out 96 up and into a front door change in the dirt. And then he gets Sal Perez to strike out looking. 3 straight four-seamers. Top of the 6th, he gets Massey to strike out. He goes four-seamer on the outer edge, slider off the plate to a sweeper way off the plate. So out, and out. And then he gets Garcia to strike out 95 up and into a backdoor sweeper. Top of the seventh, he gets Vinny Pasquantino to strike out looking again, going 5 straight off speed to him. And then he gets Sal Perez to strike out. This was an interesting sequence. He went change up low, 4-seam high, change up away, 4-seam in. So just completely changing eye levels, north, south, east, west, fast, hard, fast, or fast, soft. Really good stuff. And I am enjoying watching him this year. You know, people forget this dude's still really good. It's just been the injuries. You know, he's not some 6 ERA arm who has struggled to stay in baseball. No, this is a former top prospect. He's only 26 years old. I mean, he's not 27 until December. You know, and in his last 2 seasons and change, if you update it all the way to today, his last 29 starts, including today, 3.64 ERA, 24% K rate. So you put him in the hands of Matt Blake and Sam Brind, and you could get results like this. You know, and so this Yankees rotation with Ryan Weathers at the back and the other guys who are doing their thing, it's looking really elite, you know. You got Max Fried doing what he's doing as the ace of the staff. You got Cam Schlittler as another ace to follow him up. And it's between Cam and Warren and Weathers. Those 3 guys all have K rates over the 80th percentile. So, I mean, those guys are missing bats like crazy. The Yankee rotation this season entering today, so it will go up even more. 5th in ERA, 4th in FWAR, that's just Fangraphs WAR, 4th in K rate, 2nd in walk rate, 5th in batting average against, 3rd in FIP, 2nd in expected FIP. And obviously things can change. Weathers will probably have a clunker at some point. Warren too. Cam Schlittler has yet to experience an adjustment period. But this is not the final Yankee rotation. That's what's crazy. Like, they've got 2 frontline arms, 2 veterans on the return. Garrett Cole threw on Friday, and Carlos Rodon is expected back even sooner. Both of those guys are on rehab assignments. So it's really nice to have Warren and Weathers as the 2 guys who are potentially battling for the back end of the rotation when those guys return. You know, because you look back to last year, and what were we watching in April last year? We were watching Marcus Stroman and Carlos Carrasco throw meatballs, throw pitches that didn't move, throw pitches with no velocity. You know, just straight snowballs down the plate. You know, but you look at this Yankee rotation, and it is so potent. It's super potent. If this is what you're getting right now with 3/5 of it missing, because remember, Clark Schmidt still has a chance to return later in the year. And you got guys coming up through the system soon. We'll see bullpen starting rotation with them. But, like, there's a lot of options here, man, if all continues to go right. But I think they've got the depth to get through this thing. You know, the Yankees, I saw this was pretty funny. I saw this on Twitter. Their core 4 of starting pitchers, so excluding Luis Seal, who I think everybody in the world is down on, unfortunately, including myself, their starting pitching 4 of Fried, Schlittler, Weathers, and Warren have a 2.67 ERA, a 2.57 FIP, and a 2.87 expected FIP. So as elite as it gets. And they're on the other side, you know, hitting elite starting pitching, which has been something we've brought up before. This was a narrative last year, despite the narrative being metrically incorrect that the Yankees don't hit good starting pitching. They were really good against starting pitching last year, good starting pitching last year. And this season, they're really, really good against the top starting pitchers that they've seen so far. In fact, against Logan Webb, Robbie Ray, Luis Castillo, George Kirby, Logan Gilbert, Yuri Perez, Drew Rasmussen, and Cole Reagans, against those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys, the Yankees have scored 28 earned runs in 42 innings. That is a 6.00 ERA. So they are mashing good starting pitching this season. Of those 8 starting pitchers, only 2 of them, Castillo and Rasmussen, have held the Yankees off the board. Robbie Ray also held them to 2 runs and 5 1/3. But the other 5 guys, you look at the lines they did on them, they had a run parade. So these are top starting pitchers in Major League Baseball, man, and the Yankees are taking care of them. And, it's only right we bring that up if we're going to keep criticizing them when they get shut down by a top flight pitcher. It's just to fit narratives. This is actually correct that they do hit starting pitching that's good. So that's good to see, and it's just overall good to see the bats get hot. This is all season where we've seen the Yankees not produce results for a while, but all season they have been hitting the ball very hard. They have been barreling the baseball up. They've been staying inside the zone. They've been putting the ball in the air, but they just haven't been getting hits because they're hitting into some tough luck and they're taking, for a bit there, they were taking too many hittable pitches in the zone. And that's why their team batting average and on base percentage is lower than the usual. But now, as the results are starting to catch up with the process, you're seeing everything tick up. And in their last 9 games, including today, they've scored 53 runs, which is almost 6 runs per game. On the season, including today, the Yankee bats 7th in OPS, 4th in slug, 1st in walks, 9th in runs, 3rd in homers, 3rd in triples, 2nd in stolen bases. Pretty good for a lineup that is yet to click on all cylinders, but you've got guys slowly coming around. Aaron Judge has been giving you some good process. The process was always there with Judge this season. He was just on the ground a lot earlier, but now he's starting to hit the ball in the air again. The homers are coming. In Judge's last 8, he's got a 1048 OPS. Trent Grisham, same thing. It's been the same good process. It's always been there. He's never at one point this season looked bad as much as the results have been bad. It hasn't felt like he's been terrible. He was just on the ground a lot. But now he's starting to hit the ball in the air again. And in Trent Grisham's last 6, he's got a 971 OPS. Austin Wells, you could even say for him, the good process has continued to be there. There's never been a point this season where I think Austin Wells has looked lost. But now he's starting to pull the ball in the air a little bit more. And he's not chasing, and he's taking his walks. And so in Austin Wells' last 7 games, he's got an 886 OPS. Cody Bellinger, who has never been a guy who hits the ball super hard, or at least not since he's made tweaks in his approach ever since joining the Cubs. He's not really been an exit velo guy, but why he's thrived as a Yankee, it's because he's always relied on finding that right launch angle, that right sweet spot to make contact with. And now he's starting to find that, and he's pulling the ball in the air more. And so in Cody Bellinger's last 8, he's got a 975. Rosario and Goldschmidt, they've been great all year as bench bats who start when they're asked to. Ben Rice, the same good process as always. Last year he has a great season with bad luck. Now he's been even better because he's not hitting into poor luck. So I think a lot of us Yankees fans, a lot of us baseball fans struggle to understand how this works because we're too invested in outcome. We want it now, but process creates outcomes. I made the analogy a couple of weeks ago. You can't lose weight unless you work out, unless you build good habits. But losing weight's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be right away, but it will come eventually if you keep repeating good habits. It's the same exact thing in baseball. How could a team who consistently swings at good pitches, hits those pitches hard, but gets out, be at fault for that? You know, I made the example on Twitter earlier today. Like Grisham, if he smokes a ball middle of the zone, 95 plus miles an hour off the bat, but it's a line out, if I ask like an old school results oriented fan, aka me from a couple years ago, what did he do wrong? He'll tell me he got out. No shit, he got out. But if I ask him, if I ask that person to give me a real baseball reason for why he got out, like talk baseball with me, probably won't get a good response, because those types of fans are basically out there watching a simulator, is what I said. Results, rinse, repeat, results, rinse, repeat. They're just watching. It's like robotic. But like with everything in life, you need to do good things to get the good thing. And also, like with everything in life, sometimes the good things don't come, even if you do good things. You just got to keep relying on good process to get those results. Just keep going back to the well every single time. It's not even analytics. Like, I'm not even talking about it's just everyday baseball stuff. you know, like, it's crazy. So it's good to see these guys starting to click. However, one guy who's expected to hit, but has not yet joined the party at any point this season. Because I know Stanton has had moments, but one guy who's not even had moments has been Jazz Chisholm. And Jazz is still scuffling here, and we are now getting to the end of April. It is April 20th on tomorrow. I guess technically today, it's past midnight now. And Jazz Chisholm is still hitting the buck whatever. His OPS is still in the 500s. And it's getting a little bit concerning because it's becoming an extended period of nothingness. But history does say that he will come alive, even if he's not going to be what he was last year. Because you look at Jazz Chisholm's track record, his worst season has been a 728 OPS, and that was all the way back in 2021. And we know that with the Yankees, he's taken leaps and bounds as a hitter, and Boone has given him some days over the last week and change. He didn't start on the 9th against the A's. He didn't start on the 14th against the Angels, and he didn't play today against the lefty starter. So he's trying anything to get this guy going, giving him days, facing righty. It's just not working right now. And what I'm seeing is a guy who's maybe a bit in his head. But if you want to break it down a little bit more analytically, I think the biggest issue is his damage on contact has completely disappeared. His barrel rate has fell off a cliff. It went from 15% in a career season last year to 4.3%. That's almost an 11% dip. So there's no impact contact right now. His expected slug has collapsed. It went from 481 in a career season last year to 190 this year. That's almost a 300-point dip. So the power production is basically gone. His hard hit rate is down. It went from 43.3% last year to 31.9% so far this year. That's over an 11% dip. So even when he makes solid contact, it's not actually that strong. His launch angle sweet spot rate has cratered. It went from 32.6% last year to 17% this year so far. That's almost a 16% drop. That's near bottom of the league now. So he's not getting the ball in the air the right way, and that's leading to a lot of pop-ups. He's got his highest pop-up percentage since his rookie season, and it's a pop-up percentage right now that is more than double the league average. So that's the problem The problem is not the swing and miss. The swing and miss is still there. It's actually technically improved from last year. So the contact ability is not meaningfully worse. That's the contract. It's the poor contact rates that are still there, but it's not being made up for with contact quality. Because last year he had poor contact rates, but he had elite contact quality, which led to all that success. This year, similar contact rates, but weak contact, which is leading to these poor results. So it's the contact quality and it's the launch angle. Because of that, he's hitting too many ground balls, or when he's not squaring it up, when he elevates it, it's elevated way too high. It's a pop-up. He's hitting a lot of pop-ups. So the bottom line is it's the same hitter profile, just without all the damage. And that's going to turn a guy who was once an 800s OPS hitter last year into a 500s OPS bat. And again, I do think it'll be okay, but he's in his head right now. It seems to be he's in his head right now. And I also will say a lot of this starts with approach, and his approach was absolutely horrid to start the season. And it's been a little bit better at the plate of late. Both his chase rate and his walk rate, that's back up to 60th percentile right now, which is solid. That was not the case earlier this year, because in Jazz Chisholm's last 4 games, and it's a small sample, he has 6 walks and 17 plate appearances. That's a 35% walk rate. League average is 8.5%. That's always been the key with him as a Yankee. That's what's changed from a Marlin to a Yankee partially, is that he's not been that much of a free swinger. He has cut down on that. So lately he's gone back to what we saw from him last year, which is a positive, but he's still not getting damage contact right now. But hopefully now that he's swinging at better pitches again, that comes around. And speaking of swinging at good pitches, let's switch to a positive real quick and talk about Ben Rice, who I'm going to tip my cap to for the 3rd time this year. Ben Rice, who was 4 for 10 in this series, 3 homers, 4 RBIs, 4 walks for an 1871 OPS, in these 3 games. On the year, Ben Rice just having an insane season. 338 average, 1289 OPS, 8 homers, 18 RBIs in 21 games. He is looking like a legitimate, way too early MVP candidate. He looks like Lefty Judge the way he's standing in the box. You get excited. He's leading the majors in on base, slug, and an OPS. Now, do I think he's going to have 1276 OPS all season? No. But when it's all said and done, this is a kid who finished last year with an OPS close to the mid-8s. I think he could get that to the upper 8s. I wouldn't be shocked if he hit 900. I think he's that good a hitter. This is a guy who swings hard at strikes. He's got good bat control, enough bat speed. He elevates the ball to the pull side. He doesn't chase. He takes his walks. He just has a plan up there. And somebody like that, that's star potential, And Ben Rice is that. We have Juan Soto at home. We've got number 22. We got our own Dominican. We got Juan Soto for cheap. But excuse me. But we finally got what looks like Judge's Robin, right? After losing Juan Soto, now you got your 1B. But it's now the good thing about it is unlike when Soto was here, it's not just 1A, 1B, and friends, but it's 1A, 1B, C, D, E, and F. It's this lineup's got depth. This lineup's got balance. So I like that. And I don't mind seeing Rice get leadoff reps like he got today. In my opinion, your leadoff hitter should be a guy who gets on the most and gets the most damaging types of hits. Why not give that guy the most plate appearances? I do love Grisham in that spot, but if he goes with Ben Rice again on Tuesday, I wouldn't be against it. Because Ben Rice does continue to hit lefties. Both the underlying metrics and the results look pretty promising for Rice against left-handed pitching. So I'm not going to get into this whole thing again. I'm a little bit tired of that conversation. But he has faced left-handed pitching, contrary to popular belief. One thing I don't want, and I don't think the Yankees want it either, is for Ben Rice to start becoming a catcher again. I think he has to focus on playing first, occasionally DHing, and raking. I don't want him to have to focus on calling games, handling a pitching staff. I don't want the injury risk to be there. I don't want the catching to slow down his offensive production. I like what we got going with Ben Rice, where he'll sit for the occasional lefty, get the day, come in later in that game, and face some lefties, and then mash righties. I like what we got going. It's not like you got a dead weight in Goldschmidt. You got Babe Ruth against lefties and Goldschmidt at the same time. But, if you want to keep Ben Rice in the lineup against left-handed starters, we've been seeing what the Yankees have been doing lately. They play him at first base like normal, or you got days like today where you put him at DH. Now, obviously, that's going to take away Stanton's bat, and Stanton is known for mashing lefties. But it's something that's just going to be a thing that's always going to be, something's always going to be wrong with it. There's always going to be complaints. But it's a good problem to have, the old cliche. But I'm super excited for the kid, man. I am. It's come a long way. This was a 12th round pick. He came up, the skinny looking kid, not very big yet, but then he hits the weight room in the offseason. He eats better, and he comes into camp noticeably built last year. Has this big time spring where he's ripping the ball. That's where all that stuff starts to get loud. Puts on a big season, and now he looks even better to start 2026. So, tipping my cap for the third time this year to Ben Rice, for sure. So with that said, we're going to wrap this up when we get back from break by talking about what's coming up for the Yanks this week. We'll do that in just a second. Stay with us here on episode 1041 of BD4.
Want more BD4? Subscribe to our YouTube channel and never miss an episode. Hit that like button, drop a comment, and share with your fellow fans. Don't forget to ring that bell so you're always the first to know when a new video drops. Love BD4 but don't have the time to sit down and watch? Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify so you never miss an episode. And if you're enjoying the show, leave us a 5-star rating and a quick review. It helps us grow and keeps the conversation going.
Okay. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to episode 1034 BD4. 1041. Episode 1041 of BD4. I appreciate you all tuning in. Yanks sweep the Royals 3-0 at the Bronx. But up next, they've got the day off tomorrow, and they are on a long road trip, a 9-game, 10-day road trip, or maybe 11-day, where they're at Fenway Park for 3 to start the week. Obviously, the Yankees do struggle in their division, beating teams in their division. That's not been something that's been easy for them. Last year, they struggled with Toronto and Boston. Obviously, they went on to beat Boston in a do-or-die playoff, but they did lose to Toronto in the divisional round. In this year, to start, they've already gotten swept by the Rays at the Trop. So it's just not been something the Yankees have handled well the last couple of years. It was Baltimore a couple of years ago. But they're going to get another crack here at Boston at Fenway Park. You do have Luis Seal on Tuesday. That's lovely, but the Yankees are facing Connolly early. That's a lefty, so I would expect maybe Rosario to get some reps. Fried is on Wednesday, and then Schlittler is on Thursday, so you do go back to your top, which is good. I cannot wait for that Schlittler game. He's facing his 9 sons. Let's just be honest. So first time since the wild card game, so that'd be cool. Taking death threats from Boston fans because they're just upset that the Yankees actually have some talent, and talent that is a Red Sox fan, which is freaking hilarious to me. So I can't wait for that. Hopefully the Yankees can go over there and take 2 out of 3. But one thing is for sure, no matter how dog shit, how abominable the Boston Red Sox are, and they are, those series are still going to be tough. You know, it's always close. It's never a blowout. It's usually a slugfest. I feel like these are usually crazy scoring games. So, you know, it's going to be a grind, but I can't wait. I'm excited. And that comes up Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then after Boston, they go to Texas for 6. They got 3 games against the Astros in Houston. And then they've got 3 games against the Rangers in Arlington. So that is your 9-game, 11-day road trip before the Yankees come back home. So it's Boston this week to start off. Heel on Tuesday. We'll see. But with that said, we can wrap this one up with our trivia question of the day. And that trivia question is, which current Yankee was drafted in the 32nd round by the Royals in the 2014 draft? Which current Yankee was drafted in the 32nd round by the Royals in the 2014 draft? So, with that said, let me know the answer wherever you can reach me, and I will see you all in the next episode of BD4. Later. Hey guys, thank you for listening to BD4. Be sure to follow us on social media, subscribe to us on YouTube, and give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next time.